have an amazing group of people here today. We have our Shabbat regulars, we've got members of our Adat Shalom community, we have a lot of guests, a lot of people here to celebrate, Abigail and Rena Lee and Michael. And I can't help but notice there are a number of people here this morning who don't come regularly to our weekday Minyan. I'm not trying to call anyone out. Monday and Thursday at 7 a.m. is a bit early for most of us. Some of us actually do have to work at that early hour and can't make it. Some of us had to work late the night before, we need to rest. And some of us just don't want to be awake at that hour. It's no big deal. But, so you know, our weekday Minyan is really a great community. It's a fun group of people. We have a great time at 7 o'clock in the morning. And this week, it occurred to me, there are a couple of weekday Minyan traditions that you might never know about if you never come to a weekday Minyan, but are really worth hearing about. And one of them comes at the end of the weekday Torah service. It's the moment after we put the Torah back in the ark. We say the prayer is similar to how we just did. We close the doors of the Holy Ark, our own Kodesh. We exchange a hearty round of Yasher Koach and some fist bumps. And then I come back to the bima and I say, we did it! That comment has become like part of the matbea, part of the standard format of the service, even though it isn't really technically. It started and evolved organically because it takes 10 people to make a minyan, and when you have a Torah service, and there are only about 10 people there, pretty much everyone has to take a very active role. We need people having the aliyot, lifting the Torah, wrapping the Torah, the gabayim, our Torah readers. And so when you finish the Torah service, there's a real sense of group accomplishment. Hence, we did it! So this is one of our weekday minyan traditions. There's another tradition. At the end of the service, we conclude with a prayer for Israel, which is read at this central podium by a member of the weekday minyan community. And during that prayer, I stand at the rabbi's podium. After the prayer concludes, I come back here and I say, Yasher Koach, Boker Tov, Yom Tov. And if I have any announcements, I make the announcements. Like on Thursdays, we've got Torah study in the library at 9, whatever the announcements for the day happen to be. And then I say, are there any other announcements for the good of the minyan? Now, there are a variety of things that can happen after that. Some days there are no more announcements. Sometimes people will share about a recent or an upcoming trip that they made. Sometimes people will ask questions. It can get interesting. And this past Thursday, after I said, any other announcements for the good of the minyan, one person said, it's the last day for saying Tein Bracha. And I responded, what? And they clarified, tomorrow is December 5th. We start saying Ten Talum Atar. And I said, yes, that. Let's unpack that one, I said to the community. Let's explain that one a little bit more, as I was fairly certain that not everyone there knew what we were talking about. Kind of a niche topic sort of moment. Now at the same time, because this is how it goes at our weekday minyan, one person is saying, wait, shouldn't it actually be December 6th that we start saying that? Didn't we talk about that like 5 years ago? The Siddur needs to be updated because of something having to do with the calendar. And another person is saying, oh, I know, we were just talking about that during the Amidah. Apparently now summer is finally over. So now we've opened up 2 more niche topics within an already niche topic. I'm trying to think about that person who might be on the live stream who I can't see, but might be trying to listen and follow along and really is feeling very lost at this point. I'm trying to address everyone's questions at once. So the first thing I do is turn to the Luach. So this is the Luach. Many of you are familiar with this resource. I talk about it from time to time as things come up. Its full technical title is Luach Hashanah 5786, a guide to prayers, readings, laws, and customs for the synagogue and for the home. So it's a calendar and technical manual all in one. Anyone can have one, you don't have to be a rabbi, but it's a technical manual. It's not always easy to read. And we see in the title, it's a guide to laws and customs. And as we know, different Jewish communities have different customs. There are lots of different luachs, but this is the one that our community uses because it enumerates the specific customs followed by the conservative movement outside Eretz Yisrael, which by and large are the customs our community follows. It does contain a disclaimer that the Mara Da'atra, the senior rabbi, has ultimate responsibility for these detailed decisions, but it's also true that our community does tend to follow the luach in situations where customs can be complex and varied. Like, for example, the question of what December 5th has to do with anything and why it might mark the end of summer. So turning to the luach, you'll find on page 73, there's an instruction to, in the evening, not the morning, but the evening on Thursday, December 4th, that is after sundown, we stop saying Ten Bracha, we start saying Ten Talo Matar. So what exactly does this mean? Well, if you'd like to follow along with your eyes, you can take this book, their Sidur, turn to page 274. Page 274. I'll follow along with my eyes, but if you just want to follow along with your ears, that's fine. So the first page we're going to look at is 274. We're going to also look at page 295. And these are pages of the Sidur that we might not have ever looked at before, so this is an exciting moment. So if we turn to pages 274 and 295, we see that page 274 is one of the pages of the Amidah for the evening service. It's got some great headings on the page, and if we look at the English side, we see the heading, A Time of Abundance, and we see the instruction in the red italics to switch over our prayer on December 4th. Now turning ahead to page 295, we see that this is the Amidah for the afternoon service, and the blessing in English, A Time of Abundance, the same blessing. We see the instruction to switch over our prayer on December 5th. So there it is, right in our Sidur, the exact moment when we switch over our prayers, this niche topic that is truly an announcement for the good of the Minyan. Now, for those who are taking extremely detailed mental notes, I know there are a few of you out there who are still wondering, what about December 6th and whatever happened 5 years ago? If you're wondering about this, I will refer you to read more thoroughly the comment in our Sidur, page 274. We're not going to read it all right now. It's under the heading with dew and rain. And that starts to really get into the weeds of the variations when it's a leap year on the secular calendar. And that's why, for the rest of us who don't want to go into the weeds right now, we consult the luach. They're keeping track of all those details on our behalf. But I want to zoom out for a second to the bigger picture about this concept in general of times when we switch over our prayer and about how we observe the seasons of summer and winter in our Amidah. Even for those of us who have never been to a weekday Minyan service, even for those of us who specifically intend to never ever come to shul that early in the morning, for most, or even all of us here today, we are familiar with switching up the prayers in our Amidah as the seasons move from summer to winter and back to summer again. We can look at our Sidur on page 160, but we can follow along with our ears. This is going to work well too. This is from the Shabbat Amidah, Melech Ozer Ufoked Umushia Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechem Eitim Ata Rav Lehoshia. And then we have the phrase we say only at a certain time of year, in the winter time, between the end of Sukkot and the beginning of Passover. Mashifa Ruach Umorid Hagashem. And we'll hear this later on in the service. It means, God, you cause the wind to blow and the rain to fall. So this is our prayer for wintertime. This is our prayer that God give us rain in the proper season so that our livestock will live, our crops will grow, and we'll have a year of plenty and of abundance. Now, as we know, there are Jewish communities throughout the world in a variety of locations and climates, and we all, throughout the world, change over this prayer at the same time. When we pray for wind and rain in its proper season, our frame of reference is not wherever we happen to be living at the time. Our frame of reference is the land of Israel. Even Jewish communities in South Africa and Australia, where the seasons are reversed, say the same prayers using the same timing as we do in the Northern Hemisphere, because it references Eretz Yisrael. And this is just one of innumerable examples of how Israel connects us. Throughout our prayer, throughout our texts, throughout our history, of course, in politics and current events, Israel continues to connect us. Israel always connects us. And in our prayer, in our traditions, we also encounter reminders that Jewish life in Israel is not quite the same as Jewish life chutz la'aretz, outside our Jewish homeland. For example, some of us are familiar with the custom of observing only one day of Yom Tov in Israel, but 2 days of Yom Tov outside Israel. For example, people here in the United States have 2 Seders for Pesach. In Israel, they only have 1. So when it comes to this prayer in our weekday Amidah, this niche question that we regulars at our weekday Minyan ask, we see we have this prayer that switches over from summer to winter on December 5th, or maybe it's 4th or 6th, you've got to check the Luach. But in any case, this switchover isn't connected to the Jewish calendar. It's connected to the Gregorian calendar, the secular calendar. Why was this? Because it's a custom that's specific to life, chutz la'aretz, outside Israel, a place where we Jews live among non-Jews who use a non-Jewish calendar. And it turns out, even a long time ago in ancient times, we've never really been in such a rush to start praying for rain. Rain is life-giving, but it's also inconvenient. In the ancient world, and in our world today, it can really mess up your travel plans. Long ago and far away in the ancient land of Israel, we Jews would observe Sukkot by making a pilgrimage, an actual physical journey to Jerusalem. We would go to the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, as God had instructed us. Then after the holiday ended, of course, we had to travel back home. It became our custom for Jews living in ancient Israel to delay this particular weekday-only prayer for rain for 15 more days to give all Jews living in Israel plenty of time to return home without any travel delays caused by weather. Then, and only then, the prayer for rain, that switch over from summer to winter, would begin. For Jews living in ancient times outside the land of Israel, the obligation to travel physically to Jerusalem still applied. And the largest Jewish community at that time was in Babylonia, modern-day Iraq. The journey home was longer, and the weather was different. We begin computations from there, and a whole lot of calendar math later, we have December 5th. Give or take, every year we have to check our calendar math to make sure it's right. Still, we follow the custom of Babylonia today and the Jewish diaspora throughout the world to remember the ancient Jewish community of Babylonia and how its ancient scholars shaped Jewish life in ways we still see to this day. One of the coolest things about being Jewish, at least according to me, and I'd venture to say according to many of the people who attend our weekday Minyan, is how we can delve down rabbit holes of detail and end up finding the big picture. We can start with a question about a small change in phrase of prayer and end up traversing through traditions of modern and ancient scholarship, our connection to summer and winter and the life-giving force of rain, our lived experience of diaspora and homeland, and our powerful, lasting, and central connection to the land of Israel and to Jerusalem, our holy city. As we move through our Shabbat and into this new week, may we all be blessed to delve into details and find the big picture. May we be blessed to appreciate the flow from summer into winter, into our season of wind and of rain. And may we be blessed to always remember our experience of diaspora and homeland, to always feel and know we are connected, we will always be connected to Jerusalem and to Israel. Shabbat Shalom.